Welcome back to the Battery Podcast with your hosts, Joe Beimel and Brent Dean. We are brought to you by Beimel Elite Athletics with locations in Los Angeles and El Paso, Texas. Basically the best place in the world to train for baseball. If you want to be good at baseball,
let's go.
You've got to train at one of our facilities. Today on the agenda, we don't really have anything, so we're just going to chat and see what comes up. But we were just talking, and it's just funny when you get older because my eyesight has never been great. Like I started wearing contacts in 2000 and essentially didn't realize like my eyes were terrible. And I went to an eye doctor and like, oh, you need contacts. I'm like, what? I don't need contacts. But then had the best year of my career in 2000 because I could actually see the signs and focus on a spot on the catcher's glove. Like before that, I was just, I think does he have 2 fingers down, 3? I'm not really sure. But we were just having the conversation, and it's weird because I cannot see far. Like I cannot see things far away. So I wear glasses, right? I put these glasses on. Oh, I can see this camera and I can see the screen, but like right here, I can't see anything with my glasses on. So I have to like take my glasses off to see up close. And it's like one of the most annoying things. And I talk to my eye doctor about this all the time. And I was actually at a little get together for the Kentucky Derby this weekend, and he was there, my eye doctor, and I was just giving him so much crap about it. I'm like, this is brutal. Your industry sucks. Like they haven't done anything different since Benjamin Franklin invented the bifocals. I was just giving him crap the whole time. And I was like, we need to come up with something. We need to invent something. He's like, that would be a $40 billion idea. I'm like, well, let's freaking do it then. But he was saying years ago, they were trying to develop these drops because what happens is your lenses in your eyes start to harden, and that's what causes it. But, I was telling him when I'm around people my own age, they're usually putting on readers so they can see here. But I'm the opposite. Like I'm taking my glasses off so I can see here. So I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. And it's really frustrating when I have contacts in because obviously contacts, you can't like just take them out and look at something, put them back in. So just old people problems, man. I know you're not there yet, but maybe someday, you got some grays coming in, man. But
yeah, got the grays. I started to notice, catching bullpens, and definitely inside the facility, it's always a little more challenging. I would say the advantage typically goes to the pitcher until maybe the hitters have adapted a little bit, but started noticing catching bullpens, which I've done my whole life, and actually really started to love doing again recently. I realized I needed a new glove. I had the same glove for about 10 years, and it was just destroying my hand and felt terrible. But like my right eye, which I'm right eye dominant. And if you don't know what dominant eye you have, you just kind of do that test, right? Where you look at something with 2 eyes, and then you close it, and then you open one, and then open the other, and then you realize which one is actually like focused on it. So I realized my right eye, which is my dominant eye, is just not super sharp from far away. So I'll like close my eye when I'm getting ready to catch a bullpen. I'm like, man, I can like hardly see the pitcher right now. I mean, I see him obviously, but when you talk about the finite skill of being able to track pitching, even as a catcher, you got to have pretty sharp vision. So as a hitter, if you got bad vision, you should get your eyes checked. I mean, there's, no shame in that. If you got to wear glasses or contacts to perform, I mean, that's a big tool to have. Yeah, you might have benefited from that new system where they just tell you the pitches in your head. You like click a button, it's like fastball.
Yeah,
you throw it.
Well, one thing I noticed,
I never used that until this year, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do wish that they had that. I always hated how long it took for signs with a guy on second. I freaking hated it. It just got me out of rhythm.
I agree.
But speaking of like right eye dominant, I am also right eye dominant, but left-handed. So throwing left-handed, hitting left-handed. So I feel like it was kind of a little bit of an advantage,
probably.
Yeah, because that eye is the one closest. But for me, I shoot like a rifle, like left-handed. So I have to look through my left eye instead of my right eye, my dominant right eye. So that might be a little disadvantage on that one. But yeah. It makes it kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, just bringing up, you know, being older. I don't want to say old because we're not old yet. We're just older. And just the different things that happen, things you got to do differently. And, we've been on here a lot. We've talked about our routines and, I've spoke about my routine and how it changed from when I was young until I was, in my 40s, still trying to play and playing at a high level and the way that changed. And, like I always tell people this, I'm a no regrets person. Like, I don't really regret anything that I've ever done, even the bad stuff or, the mistakes I've made, because it's transformed me into the person sitting here right now. And I like that person. So, I learned a lot over the years, but, if I would have been doing those type of things in my 40s, that I did to compete at a high level, but was doing it at like 18 or 20, you know what I mean? You're just like, I would have had such a leg up on the competition, especially back then. Yeah. I mean, no one was doing that stuff. No one even knew about it. So, I mean, no one was doing it when I was in my 40s. Now you see some of the stuff has become trendy over the years. But with that being said, just started getting back into lifting again. As you know, when you're running a business and you have your own business, things are constantly pulling you away from your routines. And it's hard to stay on those because for me, I'm like, well, I'm not trying to play anymore. So I've kind of got away from lifting, throwing, and being consistent with it. Even my morning routines haven't been consistent. So recently I've just made a decision. Like, I am getting back into doing my morning routine every single day. I don't care what I have to sacrifice to do it. It's just going to get done. And everything else can work around that, just kind of back to like prioritizing my own health and strength and just the things that keep you sharp as a human and give you longevity. But with that being said, I put myself on track, TRAQ, our, our platform right now for our programming and all that stuff. Put myself on there, started programming lifts, and it's a process, man. It's just, it leaves so quickly, your strength. That's one thing we've talked about on here, but I'm living proof right now because there's some lifts that I've done in the past and I've done almost 200 pounds more. And just starting out again, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I'm so weak.
Yeah.
So I did a leg day on Monday, and my legs were not sore at all. Like yesterday, not on Tuesday, not yesterday, not today. I was surprised about that, but I did an upper body lift on Tuesday, and I am so sore today. Just in my, oh my gosh, right here, just touching it.
Pause bench.
Oh
yeah.
Pause
yeah. bench got you.
Jeez, it is. And then I'm noticing like my hands are sore just from like holding heavy weights, or it's not heavy right now. They're heavier than I've held in a while, but I kind of got in that bowling shape, I think, over the winter.
Yeah.
Started getting a little bigger around started, well, I lowered it to 15. Yeah. 16 pounds. That's like the heaviest ball you can use in bowling is 16 pounds. But, most of the pros throw 15. You get a few more revs on the ball, and it apparently doesn't affect pin carry or anything like that. So I was like, I ended up, well, funny story with that. I ordered a ball from Gyra Lanes. My Uncle Harold used to own Gyra Lanes, and then he sold it to the guy and his wife, Brandon Smith and Kayla. And Brandon, I think, accidentally ordered me a 15-pound ball when I had been throwing 16s. So I threw it, and it was like hooking a lot more. I'm like, what is going on? This ball just doesn't feel right. Feels like it's kind of light. He's like, oh man, yeah, I got you a 15-pound. I forgot you threw 16. And then, so I liked it, and I was getting a little more hook, a little more revs. So now I throw 15. It hasn't seemed to. My performance has gone up with the 15, but yeah, throwing a 15-pound ball twice a week didn't really keep me in shape. So getting a little big around the middle,
Yeah.
you know, bowling season, you can't bowl and not like drink a couple beers. So that doesn't help.
Or a couple
Then they've got-
pitchers. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got wings and pizza.
They got
and
wings.
I usually
there you go.
I usually don't eat while I bowl, but you know, before and after, absolutely. Yeah, just getting back in shape. I know you're doing the same. We're kind of doing the same workouts right now.
Yeah. It's funny timing. I think we just, I mean, from clear across other sides of the country, we're thinking the same way, just seeing some of the older videos and pictures of ourselves demonstrating this stuff. It was one of those situations when I'm explaining how the program works, even the track and how to navigate the system. I'll show some of the videos that are inner hyperlinks and how to navigate the workout routines and how we hold our guys accountable. So our system is the first way to hold ourselves accountable too. If we have it up there, we have a routine, we have to like finish it. But the videos will pop up and it might be something from 2021 and it's you doing a lift, or it's me, or it's one of our old trainers and we're in the background doing something and I'm like, oh shit, we look pretty good. Like, I thought I was out of shape then. I'm like, I would take that. that looks better. That's when my wife actually liked me, and I gotta get that 6-pack back, or those ab or those biceps or those scaps looking jacked again. But yeah, we started doing it again just to first get back to health, have a good routine. Like you said, having those priorities is so important. It's easy to have a very powerful reason why you're doing everything when you know you're going to play, because it's like the constant motivating factor. And then now it's like, there's so many other things going on. You got kids, family priorities and responsibilities, the business. We always take that as like a very big responsibility for us and a priority to make sure that our people are taken care of and our clients and the business itself. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate with that. Like, it's easy to be motivated when you have your reasons why. And it's much harder when you're like, man, I'm just busy. I'm tired. You got to make priorities and really stick to them. So it's been good. I think I'm starting my second week. Maybe at the end of my second week, I kind of missed a few lifts and then had to reschedule them just with kids stuff coming up. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the things I remember the most with you was like your ability to be non-negotiable on the things that were important to you. Like, hey, we're getting this workout in and we're going to do it. I don't care if I'm 30 minutes late to lunch. We're getting it done, and you get it done. And it's like, man, that was legit. Or like your morning routines, like you're doing the breath work and you did it for however many years, or the cold tubs and you're doing it and you never miss a day. And I think most people don't understand how much discipline it takes to really do that, to buy into something and just continuously do it. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of younger athletes have inconsistent results. They can't do it. They stick to it for a week or 2 weeks, or when it's easy. And the first time something gets challenging, there's, oh, I'm too busy, or oh, it's too hard, or I'm sore. I'm too scared of being sore right now, so I can't do this. But yeah, it's really powerful to have someone like you that's been able to have success at the highest levels of baseball, but just continuously share your mentorship and guidance with how that simple level of consistency can really help someone. I mean, I try and do it myself. You know, non-negotiables are hard when you're the only one holding yourself accountable. So I'm taking a little pre-workout again and starting to get back on it. And I don't know, I'm starting to debate the peptides and just figure out what I got to do to be on a healthy routine without, you know, getting demoralized by looking at our 2021, 2022 pictures and stuff.
Yeah, that was a huge thing. Well, there have been a couple. You've sent me a picture. I think it was actually, or maybe I saw a picture. I don't know if you sent it to me, but it was actually a picture of you in El Paso at our facility there in the weight room, and you were like in front of the camera, but I was in the background, and all you could see is my back. And I'm like, oh my God, my back is gigantic. Like, I want that back.
Yeah.
You know, I want that back. And then
that's right.
Recently, you sent me on my birthday. You sent me a picture when we were in El Paso, and it was my birthday that year. And maybe it was during COVID or something, but I think we were like shotgunning Bud Lights in the kitchen. We both have it was like the first beer of the day for my birthday or something, and we were like going to shotgun a beer. And it's both us standing there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am freaking gigantic. And that was when I was like, all right, I gotta start lifting again. I gotta get back to that. And I
Right.
know it's gonna be a long road. And hopefully it's not as long as I think it's going to be, but that's the disappointing thing. That's what disappoints me is just I know how long I lifted and how long it took to get to that point. And now I'm just haven't worked out, that intensely in a long time. And not to say I have to, with working out that hard comes a lot of different things too. Like you start to get freaking sore or your hips start to hurt or knee starts to hurt and you're not feeling 100% all the time. Like right now, I mean, other than being a little sore from lifting, my body feels great. I never, well, I'll take that back. My back was kind of jacked up for a little bit when I'd get up in the morning, but then I started doing, getting my hips in a little better position. Actually started doing like the arm care warm up with like the what do they call that thing? The torque band and
Yep.
hip and core activation and all that stuff. And then my back stopped hurting. And, just one of those things you got to be consistent with. But yeah, I just know the long road ahead to try and get to be that big and strong. And I'm willing to do it. I feel like, well, I took, a couple years off because I worked my ass off from the time I was a kid until I was 44 to try and play baseball. And so taking 2 years off and just not really doing any of that, fine enough. But I'm ready to get back to it. I just want to be a strong old man and not a little wimpy, like crippled guy.
It's funny you mentioned that. I think of I can't remember where we were, but I mean we've always had like banter back and forth with our athletes. It's kind of one of the foundational uh, dynamics that we've had is that we've done the large majority of the things that we program for athletes or that we would even advise for, unless it's been really well researched or we've had other athletes or professionals that have done it or doctors. But I remember this must have been, I don't know, 2021, like right before maybe you started getting ready to play again. We might have been in El Paso or LA, but we had some athletes that were in the gym. We're working out. I think we're getting ready to go to lunch or something. And the other guys are like, oh man, that's all you got. Like kind of giving you a hard time. And it's more than they're doing. It might have been like a back squat or something. And some of the guys, feeling a little chippy, thinking they're going to give you a hard time. And I remember you saying like, hey, I'm going to write these down. And on your 40th birthday, I'm going to send you these and you're going to have to see where you compare to me at 40. And for me, I'm like, oh shit, that's me this year, man. I got to be able to beat the Joe Beimel 40-year-old PR list. And I think we should post that and like share that. Like, hey, you're 40, you're going to get an email, all the lifts that we were doing at this age, and you got to see how you compare. The
I think
Joes
I've got
versus
that printed out somewhere.
yeah, I might have the old. It's funny cleaning out one of the closets. I found the old notebooks we used to have with everyone's
Yeah.
lifts. And so we went old school, right? Paper, pen, write it down, had clipboards in the gym. And one of the beneficial parts about that is that the athletes had to come and bring us the pieces of paper every day or every week and show us what they've done. And we kind of mark it off like, okay, that's enough. Or, hey, what'd you do this? Like, that's not enough. This is too much. Just different level of accountability. But I saw some from us and it was like phase one from 2018 or something. I'm like looking at the numbers, like, oh man, that's pretty good. We gotta get back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those old school printed out worksheets were intense when you have a bunch of guys you got going on.
Yeah. Those booklets or notebooks started getting
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2 feet
like 7
wide.
notebooks. They're like
Yeah, it was just
stacked.
freaking
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
With that being said, it was nice because now everything's on their phone, so kids just walk around and we got to get on them all the time about not filling in their workouts. And it's something that I do
Yeah.
basically every single day. Look and see, hey, did they fill their workout in? No. Oh my gosh, come on, dude.
Mhm.
Like it's always the same guys too, but
Well, and that's
I understand it happens. Sometimes you hit save or you get done with your workout and you don't hit save or you're done and you close it out and then it disappears. But with that being said, once or twice or even once or twice a month isn't terrible, but it's like some guys it's every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a big key that you mentioned. I don't know if a lot of people know this, and the guys that have been with us for a while, they do, and they value this a ton. Um, I can't tell how many programs around the country, probably very, very few, maybe count them on one hand if you in just a couple fingers. How many programs have someone with your level of experience combined with the rest of our staff, myself and Josh and Dante and Gabe and Jonathan, and some of these guys are just they're really in tune with like the development for an athlete. How many programs have someone like that looking at their routine every day? Like I can't find many. And it's so important to be able to have that level of accountability, first to give them guidance, but also to really make sure that they're doing the right things each day, considering the things that have happened in the past for them, considering the things that are coming up for them and how their windows of adaptation are important. I mean, I always advise the athletes, like they can get my opinions or any of the trainers in here, but it's like, hey, Joe's got 21 years of pro experience and he's probably done a lot of these things that you're actually experiencing right now. But you should have a relationship with him so that he understands how to guide you a little bit more efficiently. And I had mentioned this in the past too. I guess it's just kind of the age of perpetuating from travel ball. You know, kids jump teams every year, or even in high school now, they transfer just to go to a different high school or
Yeah.
colleges, obviously with the transfer portal, free agency, whatever level you want to take it to. Um, there's a very big lack of consistency with the mentors that these kids are having, and so they're just scrambled thinking like, well, there's another guy on YouTube that has more followers, so I'll go to him. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better for that person, but there's so much value to having someone that's invested to the level that we put into our athletes and be able to know, well, this worked for you, this didn't. This is how you take instruction well. This is how you handle communication. This is how you like to be motivated. On top of just here's a program, here's a nutritional routine, here's a throwing routine. And that's actually something I have to talk to a lot of parents about. I had a conversation with a parent about travel ball, considering taking his kid from like an 11U team to a 10U team because the 10U team was a little bit better. And, you know, I think he's got the best intentions, smart kid, great family, but it was like a lot of effort and a lot of changes that maybe they didn't even perceive. Like, well, where's his friends playing, and does he like it, and is he enjoying it, and is he motivated? Because now you're going to take him to another team just for the sake of winning some 10U games for what? And like his coaches have been working with him, they like him, they're helping him. That's pretty important. That's probably more so important than if like his travel ball team is winning a couple tournaments every once in a while. Now we're in the dark.
Well, yeah, I just saw.
You see.
You gotta love the lights there, the motion lights. If you don't move,
Yeah.
you're too stealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ninja
that's
over
happened
here
a
in the
bunch
corner.
of times there. I remember doing some interviews or some different things that were recorded at the facility, and we're like sitting there, and then all of a sudden, just lights go out. Oh shit!
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
that's a great
staying on this
point you
topic,
brought up.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You
I
go
was going to
ahead.
say, we still got this delay. It's funny that we're still battling this delay. Like, I mean, obviously we've had
Man, I don't get it.
conversation and we can keep going back and forth. But then I feel like I'm talking and then I'm talking to you and you have like a frozen face with like doll eyes. Like you've like moved a little bit, like your eyes are still there. And I'm just like, this is weird. And then you'll say something. I'm like, wait, your turn, my turn. Anyways, we got to get a better internet connection. But anyways, it
Yeah,
was
it's
just kind of staying on
something.
topic with what we're talking about. I think of there's so many things that go into the decision making for training programs. Hypertrophy or strength or speed or progressive overload or French contrast or whatever. You get super specialized, especially now in the age of like TikTok and YouTube and everyone feeling like they're a guru at something. It's very confusing to athletes because they don't know what to listen to. And then it's such an imperfect science because you're not always training for longevity or just muscular maturity and development and hypertrophy or just for velocity. But you have to kind of understand when you need to and when it's too big of a risk. And I think that kind of resonates with a lot of the conversations I have with parents a lot, or even kids. A lot of the athletes, they're high school guys that come in here, or they're college guys, or they're minor leaguers or indie ball guys that need a little bit more guidance. They say, "Oh, I can't lift during season. I'm going to be too sore." It's like, well, What's your situation? How much you playing? What's the worst if you were sore? You did it through the fall. Maybe you'd sustain a little bit more strength throughout the season, be able to stay healthier, have a bigger bandwidth to perform, and maybe have a head start through the end of the year and next year. And then some of them, they have questions about, I don't know, supplements, creatine, protein, how to eat when you're on the road. The big topic right now, obviously, is like peptides. Like, should I take peptides? Should I not? Is it worth it? Is it not? Um, there's so many ways to take that conversation, but that's why I love having these one-on-one sit downs with parents and players, because I found out that most of them just never have those conversations with anyone. They're kind of just blindly guiding themselves through this whole process and this whole base.
Yep, I got you. We'll have to edit that out. I'll have to remember where are we at here. I say, old guy, I got to put on my glasses, see the screen. 29 minutes around there. I'll write that. Yep, I got to write this down. 29 minutes, around the 29-minute mark. I got to edit. Here we go. Hell, I was there. Are you there? There we go.
And we're back.
All right. Yeah, I wrote down 29 minutes. I got to edit that out. A lot of times it'll do it itself, but
yeah,
sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
So I just let it when I download it, and then I put it on YouTube. And it's like, oh, shit, I forgot to edit that out. Well, it makes it a little more real anyways,
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, that's kind of all we're doing. So if people are watching this, appreciate it. It's not really anything formally or professionally recorded. We're just having these conversations. And I guess that's what we should have done. Maybe we'll do for now for next week is start putting out some Q&As, right? Like, hey, what do you guys want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about? Should even, we could bring in some people like guest hosts or whatever, just sit here and talk with a handful of people. We got some good people for that too.
Yeah, I see a bunch of people are starting podcasts.
On so many.
Tom Wilhelmsen and Charlie Furbush, they started one. I was on theirs recently, and they said they'd come on anytime. I saw Russell Martin, and who's he doing it with? Did you see that one?
Russ? No, I'm not even sure.
I think he's doing the podcast with. Jesus, I'm telling you, my brain's not working today. Josh Donaldson. That's who he's doing it with.
Josh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, they're doing a podcast together. So I'm sure they wouldn't mind being on as guests. So we can start getting some guests here and there. I know Josh Mitchell, one of our head guys there in LA, he wants to be on it. So maybe next week we bring him on. I don't know if he'd have to be in a different room or you guys share a mic. I don't know how it works with three people.
Sitting right here. We'll just we only got one mic, so we'll see. Yeah, we can figure that out. Might have to talk to Cody Decker, have him come down and set us up with a better little studio setup. Speaking of Cody, I don't know, last time you saw him, he actually just got a radio show with
nice.
Was it 97.1? Yeah, so he's doing the Los Angeles morning radio with Derek Fisher and a couple other people in the area, but it's like a sports show. So it's like 6 a.m. till noon or something. It's pretty cool. I mean, he's obviously been in the broadcasting and public eye world for quite a while now. But yeah, I might need to get someone to come down and figure out how we can actually like have a good setup, more than just what we got. But
yeah. One thing you brought up about peptides is I would not recommend anyone take peptides if you're still playing because they are illegal.
Right. Yeah, this is
most of them.
Definitely.
There are a couple that aren't, but I remember like BPC 157. That was one that basically they say it gives you like Wolverine blood where you can like heal from basically anything. That was not banned. I think recently it was like one of those, they had their eye on it, and now it is, I'm pretty sure. So, all that stuff is banned in pretty much every organization. So if you're somebody like us who is done playing, absolutely go at it, have at it. But also risks come with that. You can't find many things negative about certain things, but it's just, obviously we're not doctors. This is not medical advice. So, you can do whatever you want, but
it's for entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer.
Lost my mic. If you're playing, definitely don't do that. You'll get caught and you'll be in trouble.
Yeah. And it's funny. I actually was recently at I don't know what you'd even call it. It was basically like a dinner presentation by some doctors that were talking about like rehab routines. And it was one that's like a specialty procedure for knee repairs. And had like a little Q&A, and we're talking about what exact protocols are best for rehabbing specific issues and specific injuries for certain types of demographics of athletes or just general public. And the idea of peptides obviously came up because it seems like it's pretty prevalent. Anyone that has the means or the education to understand like they're potentially viable, they're going to explore it because you want to look at conservative options and modalities prior to doing any surgery and even post surgery to kind of get back to where you were. And the Wolverine stack, that's kind of the big thing. TB 500 and the BPC, and you put them together and you inject it for 2 to 3 months or whatever. He brought up a good point. He said, there's potential benefits from it, but the long-term research isn't really profound, and the sourcing is pretty sporadic, and you're kind of getting white labeled peptides from the same lab, and they're kind of getting resold by all these smaller, peptides.com little websites or small distributors throughout whatever city you're in. And he said it's not going to erase your poor habits, that freaking chili cheese dog you just ate, or your lack of consistency and work ethic to keep yourself healthy. So it's like for some people, healthier populations, it could take it back a little bit more quickly, maybe be a little bit of a expediter of that process. But the risk is, at first you could test positive for it. Second, you don't know the long-term risks. You don't know the quality and the source of where you're getting it. And so there's a lot of people that have this misconception of like, if I take it, okay, I'm good. I don't have to work as hard, or I don't have to be as consistent because my body is just like going to be okay now. Like I'm going to be Wolverine without having to lift any weights. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Like even you take testosterone, or you're on any type of like steroid or anabolics, or you have crazy supplementation routines, it still doesn't replace your poor work ethic and your bad nutritional habits. So it's funny to like have those conversations with younger athletes, and it's like, hey, buddy, if you're really considering any of this stuff, you got to get some blood work, talk to a professional, really have all the risks understood. And then even then, it's like, don't put yourself at risk for this long-term damage or getting popped. You just ruin your entire career or reputation, or both. So yeah,
I've not heard of the Wolverine
it's all the buzz
stack
right now, though. Wolverine stack.
But it's funny. We're talking. I have an athlete that I've trained for a couple years, and he's just kind of been stuck with like nutrition, or not nutrition, but like with strength. Just kind of been the same for a couple years, not getting any stronger. Actually has gotten weaker in the last couple years. So it was just a conversation I had the other day, not about like peptides or steroids or anything like that, but I was just like, hey, do you take any supplements? Like anything? Well, I was taking some, and then I quit taking them. I'm like, well, what were you taking? Creatine and something else. I was like, dude, we got to get you on some kind of like pre-workout, post-workout, protein. You got to just go all out and do the whole thing. Be consistent with it, because he's just, and started diving into his lifts, looking at his lifts, and it's just, he's a guy who goes, I looked at the other day, he had squats, and he's on like a hypertrophy phase after the season, just to get some weight back that he lost in season and just get a little bigger before we do other things. And he had like squats for 2 sets of squats for 10 reps, and then 2 sets of squats for 8 reps. Well, he did first 2 sets of 10 reps at 190, and then he did the 2 sets of 8 reps at 190 as well. And then the next week he went up to 195 for all 4 sets. And I'm just like, dude, this is the issue. Like you're just doing a comfortable weight that you can get. You did the reps. It's like there's no way you should do the
Yeah.
same weight for 8 reps that you did for 10. You should be going up. If you can go up within those 10 reps as well, like the second set of 10, like go up 5 pounds then.
Yeah.
If it was that easy. If it's, and if you fail, get a freaking spotter. Get somebody there who spots you, not to just help you up and put the weight back, but to make sure you do all of the reps. It's not like you struggle and, you're benching and you struggle and you can't get it up. Well, we're not trying, it's not a 1 rep max. We're not like racking it after that. It's like, no, that spotter's there to help you finish the reps. And it's hard. And that's where you break through like these plateaus. Like, there's nothing worse than not getting a rep and you still got like 2 to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's why the spotter is there. So you can struggle and then he lets you struggle still a little bit, but
Right.
you're still moving the weight as they're pulling it up. So I think that's something that's a little bit lost when we're looking at training. If you do find yourself at a plateau, that's where you've got to really push yourself. And not to say if you struggle with, you're benching 185 and you struggle with 185 and you still got another set left, don't go down in weight. Like, get a freaking spotter, do it again. And if you can't get that last rep, like, have someone help you. Or you can't get the last 2 reps, have somebody help you with it. Don't just chalk it up and go, oh, I can only do 2 today. It's like, no, that's not what we're trying to do. So, just kind of one of those lessons out there where I think for you and I, we've run into this all the time where things, and we've probably said it on here a million times, things that seem common sense to us aren't necessarily common to everybody. And that's one of the things, it's just, and we were talking the last time with velocity and I started talking about the way the ball spins, and I actually think I posted it today on Instagram, but to me, that's just common sense. And I've had so many people reach out that didn't realize that, like you can throw 95 out of the hand and depending on the way the ball spins, it will lose velocity more if it's spinning this way to the plate because it's starting, it's not on a straight line. It's starting to go this way and you're getting more horizontal movement than something spinning like this. It's going to stay more true and get more ride. But it does matter. Like, velocity out of the hand matters. It doesn't matter what it is when it gets to the plate. It does to a certain extent. But with that being said, everything is reaction time. So whatever you're throwing out of the hand matters. That's why this one of the stupidest things I see. All right. Little League World Series time. They go, oh, that's the equivalent of 100 miles an hour in MLB. The hell it is. Like, I would get in there against that kid from freaking 40 feet throwing whatever he is, and I would crush him. He's a kid, and he's not throwing 100 miles an hour equivalent. But if I get on in a big league field, I'm not sniffing 100. That shit's going to be by me. And the reason is because it is 100 and it's out of the hand. And that reaction time matters, not what it is over the course. It's not your typical scientific miles per hour is whatever distance by rate or whatever the freaking formula is. Yeah. But I'm not a scientist, guys. I'm not a scientist, but no, I do have a basic grasp of physics. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're going to get a comment. Well, that's not the formula. Here. Yeah. That's probably the catalyst or one of the reasons why, like, we had those conversations with guys that when we first started, right, and guys are throwing like running guns or they're like maybe doing a short box bullpen for velo and they're throwing into a net and they're throwing it, 88, 90. And then guys are, oh, well, I could throw 90 from 5 feet away.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think you're understanding what we're measuring here. We're not talking about like the distance and how fast it's velocity out of the hand with the vector of that just speed, not just how far it's going as well. But anyways, yeah, I hear what you mean, man. It's just to kind of stick back with what we were initially talking about, man. It makes me think of like so many of these conversations I have with athletes and parents. Like 3 of the most common things that I have to encounter or that I continuously reinforce for high school and younger college athletes, mostly junior college, D1, D2 guys, and maybe we're still freshmen or sophomores, is one, got to have some accountability and consistency in their routine. Most guys, they have very, very minimal. They're just like, oh, I work out at school or I work out on my own or I do some stuff. And they kind of mistake activity for productivity, right? Second, most of the athletes, and not all of them, there's some that are just, they're big, they're strong, or they're overweight and they need to lose a little bit, but most of them need to gain weight and strength simultaneously. And those aren't exclusive or exactly the same thing, right? Those, you can get bigger and not stronger. You can get stronger and not necessarily bigger, but most of them need a little bit of both. So we talk about nutrition and supplementation and just overall workload management. And then third, it's like the integration of all of the data that's relevant for them for their performance metrics and making sure that their routine is productive for it. Because we get guys that are trapped in getting bigger and stronger and they're in the weight room and they're like, oh, I've been lifting 4 days a week and I go to this gym and it's great and we're doing all these things. And I'm like, hey, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic foundation. But your goal was to throw harder, run faster, hit the ball better. You're not doing that enough, or you have no data to see if it's actually helping you get there. And maybe it's now starting to get counterproductive. And those are like the top 3 things that I continuously have to have those conversations about with athletes and parents. So nutrition's a big one because then we dive into the supplementation, and that's kind of what made me think of like the creatine and the protein powders, and you're talking fish oils, turmeric, glucosamine, like all these things that are pretty commonly used by athletes. But then we have 17 to 22-year-olds that are just getting used to it for the first time, and they're not sure what they should do. Should it be 5 grams of creatine or 10? Should I take it every day? What's the best brand? What about pre-workouts? How much caffeine should it be? There's so many things you have to navigate as an athlete that you can find terrible information if you go down the wrong rabbit hole online. But you can also probably find some good stuff. So just a matter of making sure you know the source of who you're listening to and always kind of tying in those 3 details, like the consistency, the nutrition, and the general
I'm not a huge
gain,
fan of really
sure
anybody under 17, 18 taking that kind of stuff just because your body's already going through crazy changes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got so many hormones going through you, and it's not going to be beneficial. A lot of times it can have the opposite effect and just make things a little like even crazier. And I mean, we even see kids that just destroy freaking like energy drinks and stuff, and I had a client who's an adult, but was drinking way too many and had like he was getting like 20,000 percent of his B vitamins every day because he was drinking like so many freaking Red Bulls or whatever energy he was drinking, and had like some crazy reaction where he was like couldn't keep food down. He would just throw up all the time. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, what are you talking about? And ended up being that was the issue, So definitely people overdo everything. It's just the way it is. We've talked about red light. People just want to overdo it. I wanted to overdo it. I thought, I'll stand in front of this thing all day. And that's just not, more isn't necessarily better with everything. Some things, but I think you can overdo every single thing. You can take a good thing, overdo it, and make it a bad thing. So same thing with supplements. You just got to be careful. And there's also, talking about drug tests and things like that in college. I don't know if they do them in high school now, but pro ball, especially the big league level, you've got to be careful with the supplements you take, and there are certain supplements that have a branding on them. I think what's the one like in pro ball they recommend NSF. Yeah.
It's you got to have NSF certified for sport. Yeah. So if you don't have,
and there's
that,
some other company like
kind of
NSF is just one company that certifies what is on the label. Doesn't even mean it's good for you. It means what is on the label says it's on the label. Like Red Bull's like at one point, I don't know if it is anymore. It was like NSF approved, but it doesn't mean it's good for you. It just means everything on the label, it's in there. And there's nothing extra. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with a lot of these
It doesn't
supplement
have banned
companies is they
substances.
do produce things that are banned in different sports and different organizations. And then the same supplement is made on, ran over the same conveyor belt that wasn't clean. So there's, tainted supplements. And that's why they even say if you have like a nut allergy or something like that, like nuts are, there's different things made in this facility with nuts. So that might be in there and not, purposely put in there, but it might have just been tainted with it. And even a lot of the supplements, if they have a banned substance tainted, it's not even enough to like help you do anything. It's not like going to make you more muscular, but it will show up on a drug test. And and then it's too bad. You can look at the drug test and go like, why would you even take that little bit of an amount? Because it's not going to help you, but it was a tainted supplement. So one thing to be careful on.
Yeah.
Yes. And it will show up.
Yeah. One millionth
it has
of a
for
tainted
a
supplement.
lot of people over the years.
Yeah.
And anytime that happens, public eye goes, oh, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, he took a tainted supplement, I bet. And in some cases it is. You get the typical guy, oh, I didn't know I took anything. Or they lie, or they blame it on the guy who took the urine test or whatever, which that's another story for another time. But, those things happen. So you got to be careful with it when you are an athlete and you're at a high level.
Right. Yeah. Well, any level, really. Yeah. And I would say the best advice that I would give for a young athlete, or really any athlete, when you're starting to get to that point of navigating your development and needing to have better understanding of nutritional steps and guidelines, is to prioritize real food sources, whole foods, best quality that you can afford and get to and you trust. And that's going to be, whatever type of diet you have, the high level or high quality proteins, chickens, meats, fish,
venison,
ground beef, whatever it is, because
venison's
the
like
number one thing that
I
a
think
lot
venison
of
is the
young
highest
athletes, venison would be great. Bison
has the highest amount of protein.
But
so I have some venison sausage here that I made. My kids are eating it like every single night.
Nice.
They freaking love it. I do too, but yeah. Anyways, go on.
They're going to be jacked. Yeah. Yeah. And then even just saying it's crazy. The food industry, the supplement industry, the performance industries, whatever you research or whatever you Google or ask ChatGPT online, it's very possible you're going to find positive and negative information on anything. You can look up eggs and someone's going to say, hey, that's a superfood. That's the best thing for you. But someone's like, oh, no, it's just bad. Don't eat the yolks, the cholesterol, blah, 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 blah. So it gets very confusing. So I can understand how parents or players, they get really unsure how to go about their routines. But the best starting point is high quality foods, best protein sources that you can afford, rest, hydration, stress management, and consistency with a strength routine and a baseball routine that's going to be sustainable for you. Everything else is, the extra edge, the 1%, the extra supplementation and everything. But a lot of younger athletes think, oh, now I'm taking creatine. I can do a little bit less here. I can be a little bit more inconsistent with my strength program because I have that edge now. And it's not the case. You can't replace, 3 months of bad habits with a couple months of pre-workout and some creatine. Yeah. It's so commonly misunderstood and so commonly done. The guy's saying, oh, I got 2 months to train. Let me train now for 2 months, even though the last year, all I've been doing is kind of playing Fortnite and having some protein shakes.
Yeah, with that.
And that's it. But yeah, we've seen that happen. And
creatine.
I've had the conversation.
It's not so you can work out less. It's literally so you can work out more. Like all of those supplements, it's so you can do more. Yeah, exactly. So you get less tired.
Yeah, keeping you in the gym.
Things don't bother you as much.
Yeah.
You can do that last rep without needing help. Those are like the little things that help you with like supplementation.
Right.
But it is a misunderstanding sometimes where guys think, oh yeah, I don't have to lift as much because I'm taking creatine. It's like, dude, shut up. Like that's not even a thing.
Yeah. 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 Or I've seen guys, they like skip their meals
Yeah.
and like, oh, I had some BCAAs and some water and I'm going to have like a protein bar later today. And I'm like, buddy, that's not the path. Like BCAAs, first of all, probably not the best thing for you. I mean, no knock on anyone that's taking them or like anyone in the supplement companies that have them, but there's a lot of
Yeah, it's
athletes that
just junk.
it's redundant or they're getting plenty of them and they don't necessarily need it, or it could be even counterproductive for their internal systems. But that's a conversation for another time. I could send that research or just ask those, get asked those questions. I'm happy to dive into that. But um, we've fielded a lot of those concerns from parents and players just on everything from even
Hmm.
like medications. You got athletes that are on Accutane, and that's shown to be
Yeah,
highly
crazy.
increasing the risk for tendon and ligament damage in athletes. It's like a 50 to 100% greater chance of risk of damage. And we found this out. I mean, just from like athletes that have trained with us, and we're like, wait, what happened? You weren't doing anything. Oh, I was taking Accutane, and we're like, oh, geez, like you got to say something. That's like a hormone disruptor. Uh,
Yeah.
it's proven that there's just such a greater risk for high impact injury in athletes. And there's another one, which this was actually from one of these meetings we've had with a few doctors and some PAs, and they're talking about the GLP-1s, the Ozempics and whatever, retatrutide and some of these other peptides that can be maybe not even peptides,
Hmm.
just full on medications that are for the weight loss craze. I think primarily meant for diabetes, but they do produce some catabolic effects that are also innately going to be terrible for ligament and tendon health. So there was like probably like a same result, like a 50 to 100% greater risk or greater increase for risk of injury. And so if you're an athlete or you're just an avid active person,
Hmm.
you're much higher risk for injury with those in your system. And those are things that if you're not really aware, a lot of people make those mistakes. And, that's that on top of poor diet, poor habits, supplementing crazy amounts of things. It's such a crazy process to have to
Yeah,
navigate all
absolutely.
that
I
on your own if
remember
you don't have this baseline
because
information.
we had no idea about that back until we found out. I know we were in El Paso. I don't remember what year it was, and had a kid
Mhm.
on Accutane. Did he completely tear his UCL or something like that? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think he was coming back from an injury, and then he might have had some damage to it, and so we kind of shut him down, and he just
Yeah.
never got better. And then I
I
think he
think
ended
there
up
were
having
like
labrum
two
surgery,
athletes around the same time.
and
Both
I
had
don't think
like
he
ligament
recovered from that
issues
very well.
or injuries, and they were both on Accutane. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we ended up like doing a little bit of
one was a
research, found
UCL.
out
Yeah,
it was like 67% like increase or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, and it might be different now, might be higher since they've done more research on it. But then
right.
we had to start asking people who train with us if they were taking Accutane, just those things you don't ever think about. Starting a business and you want to help people and you want to help them get better
Yeah,
at baseball. And then by year 5, we're doing a little interview and going, hey, are you on Accutane? Are you on this? Do you do this? And just all stuff we never thought would even have to come into the
yeah,
equation.
exactly.
But when you're trying
Yeah,
to do what you can to help each athlete, you have to know their risk factors as well. Because if you just treat everybody the same, then it doesn't work. So,
yeah,
yeah, that was a crazy one. And I'm sure more stuff like that will come up, more things will happen. With different medications that have been, mass taken or prescribed over the years, and I think you'll see some side effects. There always are, and it's always things that you wouldn't expect. I just saw like an interview with Danny Farquhar the other day, who I played with in Seattle. But if you remember, he had a brain aneurysm on the field when he was with the White Sox, and he ended up, yeah, and
right.
I think he's
Yeah,
a bullpen
he
coach
would wear the
now in
helmets. Yeah,
Seattle.
right.
Maybe he's a pitching coach. I think he's a bullpen coach. I'm not positive. I'd have to look that up. But, good dude. And obviously something horrific that happened to him. He has, had 3 young kids at the time, and a great wife, and just a scary thing. Well, he was kind of going over this, saying, the percentage of him basically dying was really high, like really high. And then coming back, if you don't die, basically you're going to have some kind of disability. And he didn't have any of that. Like at first, he had a ton of memory loss. So he basically couldn't remember from the time he was, I don't know, 18 until present day. So like his wife is there in the hospital talking to him and going, "Oh yeah, hey, we're married." He thought she was his girlfriend. And she's like, "Oh no, we're married. We've been married for 10 years." He's like, "What? Oh my gosh, we're married?" And then, she's like, "Yeah, we have 3 kids." He's like, "What? We have 3 kids?" Like just forgot everything, and obviously eventually, well, not obviously, but eventually got that memory back. But he was saying the one thing,
Yeah.
he tried to come back and play after that. And he said because the bleeding was on his left side and he was right-handed, there was some motor skills that if he wasn't an athlete, never would have known. If he's just a regular person, everyday life, going to work, doing different things, he would have been fine. But because he was a high performing athlete, he could no longer throw 95 plus. It was just one of those things that he never would have known unless he was because he was an athlete. He didn't he realized it, but if he wasn't an athlete, he never would have realized it, just thought he was back to 100% normal. So, one of those things. I know you kind of cut out there. I kept talking just in case you came back, but was just saying with Farquhar, if he was a normal person, he would have thought he was back 100%, nothing wrong. But because he was a high performing athlete, he had, a little crossover left side of his brain, controls the right side of your body. So he was never able to really get his command back, his feel for his pitches, and his velocity, which, like I said, if he was just a regular person, didn't play a high performance sport, he would have been like, man, I recovered like completely from this thing. And that was really the only thing. And when I say the only thing, not to say it's not important, that basically put him into retirement at a time when he, at an age where he probably could have continued to play because he was a great pitcher. But I think talk to him, he'll take being able to really function and not have any disabilities after something that serious. So they're just, when you are a high performing athlete, there are just these little minute things that you're good at and you're better than everybody at. And if you don't have that for whatever reason, whether it's from side effects from from a drug that you take or a supplement or, in his case, a freaking aneurysm, it's a huge factor.
Yeah. And I looked it up. I remember several years you've been talking about Danny Farquhar and, the awesome bullpen group that you guys had in Seattle, but he's actually now the assistant pitching coach for the Mariners and the pitching strategist. So pretty cool spot for him to be able to make an impact on those guys. And yeah, God bless him for being able to recover from that, and his family being able to still have him after something as scary as that. Because the average person probably doesn't have the ability to really
no
recover
doubt
from that fully. Like he's
all right.
he's been
Before
able
we
to.
go here, let's switch gears. I just want to get your input on a couple things. So, state of the game, and we'll just talk about it at the big league level over the past 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have let's go like a top 3 things that you really like the way the game has gone over the past, let's say, 10 years, and things that you don't like, if you have any.
Man, yeah, it's hard to think of off the top of my head. The first things I go to is it's been really great to see the players' dual personas kind of shine on the bigger stages. I think places like the World Baseball Classic or, games like the World Baseball Classic and just how the World Series have been exciting to watch the past few years. have highlighted those individual personalities more so than I'd ever seen before. One thing that I didn't really think I would like that I've actually
Yeah.
kind of started to enjoy is the ABS system. Really, there's some strategy to it where a catcher or a pitcher or the hitter has to decide if this is the right time for them to challenge a pitch. And it's pretty embarrassing when you get it wrong. So they're kind of really in tune with that. But I've actually enjoyed that dynamic where they can get it right. It's helped pitchers in situations they thought they had it, and yeah, they did, or vice versa. A hitter's like, hey, that's not strike three. They challenge it, they get it right. But there's been some weird situations, where there's the pitch clock and people are getting forced out into an automatic ball. I saw that happen. I mean, I know this is in the independent leagues, but Trevor Bauer had a perfect game going. And they had the pitch clock was on like two different clocks, and the home plate umpire gave him a pitch clock violation and called a ball onto him. So I pushed him to 3-2 and ended up walking the guy when a perfect game going. So, I mean, this is all over his channel too. And, he's obviously pissed, and he's, got to deal with umpires that are still learning on a minor league type level. And not to say that major league ones wouldn't make the same mistakes or they don't make mistakes, but, it's just an interesting dynamic to have that going on. One of the big concerns over the past several years has been just the lack of offense. There's a lot more home runs, but there's a lot more strikeouts. The speed of the game. I mean, those kind of all tie into each other. Back even to a couple of years ago, where they were talking about bringing the mound back 6 inches or a foot or something like that to try to give the hitters a chance to like hit more effectively. And then even in theory, we're like, well, it's just going to give breaking balls a chance to even break even more. And I mean, I don't know if that extra 6 inches or a foot gives enough time for the pitch recognition to be an advantage to the hitter. It's interesting because I think it always kind of comes back to even our world with the player development side for hitters and how they're training, where it's much more simple, or I guess much more uniform to how you can develop a pitcher in a lab in an off season. You can get mechanics and velocity really focused on a hitter. There's so much more nuance to it. You can have the best swing, but you have bad approach, bad vision, bad swing decisions, bad timing. And you have this maybe launch angle philosophy and you hit 215 with 15 home runs. It's hard to say that's successful now, but what does the game really want? And so I don't know. It's hard to say a guy's having a good season when he hits 15, 20 home runs, but his OPS is still maybe under 900 or under 800. And it's like, is that really the direction we want to take the game? I can't speak for guys in the big leagues now. I think there's so many great players out there, but what are your thoughts on just like where the game is going and kind of how athletes are right now with the data era?
I also like
the new age level of baseball.
The ABS system. ABS? Is that what it is? Yeah. Why did I was thinking of anti-lock
automatic
brakes.
ball strike system.
I guess that's, what is that?
Or automated. Yeah.
Anyways, so I do like it, but I would be lying to you if I said I sit here and I watch baseball every night. And I was actually having this conversation with my dad yesterday, is I don't watch a lot of baseball other than what I see on like social media and in clips and things like that. And I think a lot of it is just I watched so many games over the years. It was watching 162 games every single season, sometimes more. But so now I have a hard time sitting there and watching a full game of baseball unless it's playoffs or I'm just sitting at a bar with somebody or sitting at somebody's house and there's a game on. Of course, I'll watch it, but I don't I got to get home and I got to watch like the Dodgers play tonight. It's just not what I do anymore. But with that being said, I've seen enough of like the clips and social media and things like that where you realize how great most of these players are at having an idea of what the strike zone is. But also the umpires, because we're not seeing, maybe we've talked about this before, but we're not seeing these big freaking misses.
For sure.
Every once in a while, there's like a big miss where someone thinks, that it's a ball and it's right down the middle, vice versa. I've seen a couple where the umpires call the strike and it's like, and now when we say a big miss, I mean, we're not talking like feet, we're talking like inches. So even if it looks, if it's that far off the plate to everybody who's got a TV and got the zone put up on there,
Yeah.
it looks like a mile away, but it's really not that far. You know, something that's moving and traveling so fast, you realize these guys are really good. All of them, every single one of them. They have great strike zone recognition. But I do like that aspect
100%.
of it. The one thing, the pitch clock, I thought I was going to hate it. I wouldn't say I'm like a baseball traditionalist. I like things about the game, and there are things that I think should not be changed. One of them was baseball's a beautiful sport because there's no clock. You know, it starts when the pitcher throws the ball. With that being said, I've watched guys over the years just human freaking rain delays where it takes them over a minute to throw a pitch. And you're just sitting there like, come on, dude. And you have those teammates, and they come into the game and you're in the bullpen and you're like, oh my God, just throw the ball. This game is so long, you know? So I didn't think I'd like it. And there are some nuances with it that I think get manipulated that I don't love. But in general, I've actually liked it because I went to Chihuahua's game. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that. And it went so fast, and not like too fast, but there was no like downtime where you're just sitting there like bored, like looking around. Oh, he's going to pitch the ball. Okay, here you go. So those are things I've liked. I do like a lot of the data. I like being able to see spin direction, spin rate, how much the ball's moving, velocity, of course. So I do like all of that stuff. I think that's used as, in some cases, a crutch for a lot of guys, which might not be a good thing. And then the things I don't like right now, it's just hard. I just hate how soft the game has become. Like, I don't like, you can't run the catcher over. I mean, maybe you like that. I don't like that. I don't like that you cannot take a runner out at second base on a double play. Like, that's part of the game was freaking awesome. And now it's like gone. And I don't know did a lot of guys get hurt from that? I don't think. Like, guys I played with never complained about it. Yeah.
Just the Posey rule, right? Yeah. I mean, as a catcher, a former catcher, I guess, I enjoyed the contact or the risk of contact because you could give it back too. You know, it was a little bit less serious or a little bit less highlighted with like the obstruction rules. Like now, if you're like in the base path without the ball and the runner's like close to you or in the vicinity, there's this interpretation where they could say the base runner had to move because of where you stood, they get the base. And it was just so ticky-tack, and it's just controlling the game that I didn't think that needed to change, but I enjoyed the contact. I mean, it was part of the training that you had to go through as a catcher to know how to protect yourself and being in a good position and knowing how to take the contact. And obviously there was always the crossing the line malicious, like you don't have the ball, you're standing in front of the plate. The guy goes out of his way to just freaking wreck you. But that's where, I mean, it's kind of the unwritten rules, like the next guy's getting plugged. You know, you maybe clear the benches one time, or you guys are fighting in the tunnels underneath, like after the game or something. But I feel like the game policed itself, and it's hard to say that that's whether better or for worse, like, you know, where it should be. But I can agree. I think the physicality of the game was a pretty entertaining part, but also part of the separator that made the better athletes stand out. But you never risk injury. You know, the Buster Posey injury, I remember that clearly thinking like, well, his legs were out of position. He wasn't in a good spot, but then freak things happen. It's just definitely agreeing with that as far as wanting to see that physicality back in the game would be pretty awesome. So, I don't think that's ever going to happen again, but indie ball, maybe it's a little bit less.
Another thing,
a little bit less
just the high amount of strikeouts and the tiny amount of 300 hitters. It's freaking crazy to me.
Yeah,
like there's like 5 guys hitting over 300. There were like 50. You know, it's just insane. There's no like pride in not striking out. Like I was a pitcher hitting in the big leagues, and I would feel embarrassed when I struck out. And I'm getting struck out by big league pitchers, but I would walk back to the plate or back to the dugout from the plate, and
Yeah.
I just have like, fuck, I struck out. Jeez. And I'm supposed to strike out because I'm a pitcher. I'm not supposed to be a good hitter, but I did hit 300 in the big leagues. My bad. But so I took pride. I
Yeah.
took pride in my hitting, and I was embarrassed. And now you just
That's
see
right.
guys, the amount of guys striking out over 100 times is insane. And
Yeah.
hey, maybe it's because the pitchers are that good, and you have to factor that in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, velocity has climbed. So now maybe because of that, we've got to put emphasis on different parts of the game. We have to sit back and wait for like the long ball, or we got to take more walks because we are going to strike out a lot, no matter how hard we try not to. But I don't know if that's the case. I talked to Willie Stargell one time, and he said it doesn't matter if you throw a 747
Yeah.
in there. A big league hitter eventually will catch up and hit it. They'll figure out a way. And so I just always believe that. So I don't think the high rate, I know velocity is harder to hit, and you got all these balls doing different things and all this stuff. But man, it freaking sucks. It sucks to watch when nothing happens. I don't want to say it's become soccer, but, or hockey. That's what I always say about those. You're like, everyone's like, oh, nothing happened. Oh my gosh, he's gonna shoot and score. Oh, he didn't make it. He didn't get it. And in baseball, it's just kind of like there's no action anymore. Like you're not forcing anybody into making plays or putting the pressure on the defense. It's like, well, you might strike out 5 times in a game, but then you get that 6th at bat and you're freaking hit a home run. You win the game, and it's 13-12. But whatever. That part I don't love. So a lot of things about the game that I love.
Yeah. Well, to make it like hockey, I think they got the enforcers going in there roughing people up and starting some fights and keeping the fans engaged even in a 0-0 match. So maybe the way to fix baseball in that sense is just, all right, we're gonna have this guy just like fight in the 7th inning. We're gonna have a 7th inning stretch, and your guy versus our guy, and they go out there and brawl, and then they get the advantage. They get a run on the board for whoever wins. It's funny. I'd actually talked to a couple of kids in here. I think I mentioned this last time. We had a JV baseball game, West High and Torrance High. And after the game, and a bunch of these kids training here, they get in a full-on brawl. And I got the video. I got to send it to you. It's actually like punches thrown. I mean, thankfully, no one got hurt. These are kids. But in the handshake line after the game, and I'm like, what could have possibly happened for you guys to be like that angry after the game? They literally threw punches, throwing people to the ground, wrestling. I mean, this is probably like a 2-minute fight between like each team. I'm like, I mean, that's good. These kids care enough, they're not just like indifferent and like trying to get back to playing video games or something. But yeah, it's always been part of the game to have the physical excitement. Obviously, not trying to get anyone hurt and have anyone like fighting, but you look back at highlights of the games and past couple decades, and pretty often it's like when those situations happen, someone gets plugged or someone gets run over pretty hard, or there's some contact and people start clearing benches, and it's,
I know.
I feel like it's
sure you've seen this recently. Like Garrett Cole was on a rehab start, and I think one of the kids, I don't know if it was like high A or low A or whatever, but kid hits a home run off him, maybe gets a single or something off him. 3rd at bat, he freaking drills him. Everyone's, no reason for that. And I'm just like, bullshit. I'm freaking drilling that kid too. Let him freaking know. Yeah. He's going to talk about that his whole life. Oh, I hit a home run off Garrett Cole on a rehab start. No. Yeah. I hit a home run off him. Then he drilled me in the freaking back. That's what happened. And like, I remember when I was coming up in the minor leagues, I was struggling with my command, right? I was kind of a little bit wild in a game. Pitching coach comes out. Hey, I want you to drill this next dude, like right in the thigh. I'm like, okay. It wasn't even just like, what? Oh, you want me to hit somebody? It's like, no, that's what pitchers freaking did. So I drilled the dude, like right in the leg. And it got me locked in for the rest of the game. That's why he wanted me to do it. It's like, if you you want to be a baseball player and you want to hit and you want to sit there with a ball coming at you 100 miles an hour and you got a freaking stick. You can't be afraid to get hit by the ball. And sometimes you're going to get hit on purpose. It's just, that's the way the game is. And that's another thing where I talked about. I don't love how soft the game has become because now, like, you get close to somebody, you get a ball under the chin and it's a warning and everybody's throwing their hands up and yelling at you.
It's warning.
It's like, no, you want to throw your hands up, then come out here. We'll freaking fight about it, but yeah, it's just that part of the game. And I understand. I'm not advocating like throwing at people's heads and, trying to hurt people with the ball. But so many times in the course of my career where we were playing, I think when I was at the Pirates, we were in Montreal and we got in a fight with them. One of the players, I can't remember his name right now, but he slid into second base, like past the base. I think Pokey Reese was on second and he got a ball and then went off the back of the bag. Well, the guy slid through the bag and like tried to like kick his legs and like take him out. And when we talk about taking out the second baseman, that's just not the thing. That's not the way to do it. It's like on the other side of the bag, you freaking destroy him, take him out. But he wasn't trying to turn a double play. He was just getting the out. And I think it might have even been on like the third out or something. Slides through the bag, hits him. Well, we have this big fight, all this stuff. Everybody's warm, people thrown out, whatever. Well, this dude gets traded to the Marlins. And we're playing the Marlins. I'm in the bullpen warming up. And before I go in, they say, hey, so-and-so is the third batter this inning. Remember what happened in Montreal? And I said, yep, okay. So I get the first two outs. Wham! Drilled him. This dude knew it was coming, He knew he was getting hit. And he's on a completely different team. But wham! Drill him. And I'm just ready. Like, he's coming out. And he put his head down, dropped his bat, ran to first base, and then I got the last guy out, and game's over, and message sent, But even the dude I saw that just got suspended, I don't know how true this is, but Hosmer was breaking down a couple things where guys on second base were getting his grip, and then they were relaying it to the hitter, and then he gives up a couple home runs. So he drills somebody because they're relaying signs. Freaking better. You know what I mean? Everyone, oh my gosh, he hit. Like, and the players are going to get upset about that. You know what the hell you're doing? Like, you think if he didn't find that out, you shouldn't get drilled? Bullshit. So that's just where I wish the game was a little harder like it used to be. I think you're seeing like those hard-nosed guys are just kind of going by the wayside and they're not really there anymore, and there might be a couple in the league. And I don't want to sound like that freaking old guy because I love all the other things. I love the high velo. I love the power. I love a lot of the game, how fast it is. Still the greatest game on earth, don't get me wrong, but it could be better. I just miss those things. I guess kind of like I miss the old NFL when guys would just get lit up. Guys like Troy Polamalu, who's my favorite player ever, would just destroy people, and it was awesome. And he'd jump over the line, like perfect timing, and just crush somebody. And I understand why that can't happen with injuries and head injuries and all that stuff. But on the baseball side of things, I think it's gone a little too far. Rant over.
Yeah. I can agree with you on that, man. We'll keep it going. Yeah, if anyone's got anything else they wanted to add to that, or you got questions, man, we got plenty of stories. I mean, I got a Garrett Cole story we'll go through another time. Obviously played with him at UCLA, and then ran into him a couple times in the minor leagues, and then he's obviously been one of the best pitcher in the big leagues for the past decade or so. We'll talk about that, keep that going. But anything you guys need, BeimelEliteAthletics.com. Follow us, BEA_Los Angeles or BEA_Texas. Joe, man, it's freaking always great talking with you, and I feel like we got so much more to share. So, what's the call to action?
Like,
subscribe, email us, DM
positive,
us, whatever.
Not positive,
Give us a call.
Whatever you want. I saw we had one comment. Somebody said, "What the heck did somebody say?" Shit, it was actually kind of funny. Maybe they erased it. I don't remember. But we had somebody comment something. I was like, oh yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely like, subscribe, follow along. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
Bring
you
it on, man.
do want
I
to
love
talk
it.
crap,
The good or the bad.
don't be shocked when you get crap back. Like I said in the last episode, I will look up your stats in high school and bury you on them. Or look at your weird pictures on Instagram. Be like, oh man, this guy.
That's
I
great,
saw
man.
somebody like an influencer or whatever made a song. It was just guys talking crap about different things, and then would like post their comment as like a song, but then like post a picture of them or something. It was pretty funny because everyone who talked crap, they had like some stupid picture. It's coming from this guy right here.
That's great.
So good stuff. All right, man. Well, I got to get out of here, but good talking to you, and talk to you soon.
All righty, man. All right. See you next week.